We did everything we could, but the damage was too severe.
I'm so sorry.
All right, let's dive into something pretty incredible today. We're going to look at a groundbreaking idea. How do you take the super dense, kind of dry text from medical training and turn it into something, well, something cinematic, something that could totally change how surgeons learn? Okay, so let's start with this sentence. It comes straight out of a real description of a neurosurgical ICU. It's totally factual, it's accurate, and let's be honest, it's pretty flat. It sounds like a routine task, right? Just another box to check off on a long list. But hidden inside these simple words is a whole world of pressure, skill, and life-or-death moments. And yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? How do you possibly close that huge gap between reading about something in a book and truly understanding the weight of it in real life? How do you make a student feel the urgency that a veteran nurse or a surgeon feels in their gut? You see, this is the fundamental challenge in medical education. Textbooks are great, they give you the map, but they can't teach you how to navigate the storm. They just can't replicate the adrenaline, the subtle little clues you have to pick up on, or that intense focus you need in a real clinical situation. And that creates this gap between knowing this theory and actually applying it when the pressure's on. But what if you could? Well, get this. This powerful idea comes from a neurosurgeon with 20 years of experience. After 2 whole decades in the operating room, he had this realization. Every clinical case, every dense paragraph in a textbook was originally a human story, packed with tension and drama. So how on earth do you pull a cinematic story out of a technical manual? It's not about making stuff up, not fiction. It's about uncovering the real human truth that's already buried in there. Let's take a look at the method. The key to this whole thing, the secret sauce if you want to call it that, is authenticity. It's all about re-narrating the real human experiences that got condensed into those textbook paragraphs. It's tapping into the memories of thousands and thousands of hours spent in the ICU and the OR. This isn't something you can fake. It has to come from real lived experience. So how's it done? Well, the process is basically a storyteller's toolkit, and it's broken down into 3 simple steps. First, you find the conflict. What's the critical decision that has to be made? Next, you pick your camera angle. Whose perspective are we seeing this from? And finally, you build the world around them by adding all those sensory details that make a scene feel totally real. And this is really where the magic happens. You're not just listing facts anymore. You're building a world. You're starting to hear the steady hum of the machines, the beep of the heart monitor. You can feel that intense focused silence in the room right before a surgeon makes a critical move. You're turning abstract data into a real, tangible, human moment. All right, enough theory. Let's actually put this method to the test. We're going to take that 3-step framework and apply it to that very first sentence we looked at. You know, the one about the ICU nurse. And wow, just look at the difference here. On the left, you have a simple task. On the right, you have a moment of pure tension. Suddenly, we have a character, the nurse. We have sensory details, the glow of the monitor on her face. And most importantly, we have conflict. That subtle change she spots in the patient's pupils at 2:59 in the morning, that isn't just a data point, it's the discovery. The clock ticking over to 3 a.m. hammers home just how critical timing is for saving that patient. And that's the whole point, right? This approach teaches so much more than just the what. It teaches the why and the when. A trainee doesn't just learn that a neurological assessment happens every hour. They learn to look for that tiny, almost invisible change that can mean the difference between a good outcome and a tragedy. They get to experience the exact moment when it matters most. Now you can see how powerful this is for just one scene, but this is way bigger than that. This technique is actually the foundation for a whole new vision of medical education. And believe it or not, it's creating a new career path right at the intersection of medicine, film, and technology. The goal is to create something they're calling a cinematic textbook. Think about that. It's not just a video you watch, it's an immersive experience designed to let a trainee literally step into the shoes of an expert and live the material, not just memorize it. But it doesn't even stop there. The vision goes even further. These cinematic scenes we're talking about, they're the building blocks, the core data for the ultimate goal, fully interactive video games for surgical training. Imagine simulations where a student's choices lead to different outcomes through branching storylines. This is where learning truly becomes doing. And look, this isn't just some cool academic idea. This is a real, viable business that's tapping into a market that is hungry for this kind of innovation. A whole ecosystem of partners, from medical societies and top university hospitals like TUM in Munich to medical tech giants like BrainLab, they are all looking for the next frontier in training, and this is it. And I think this one quote just sums it all up perfectly. The goal isn't simply to stick a textbook onto a screen. The real goal is to inject that static information with the human element, the pressure, the empathy, the split-second decisions that truly define what it means to practice medicine. And that leaves us with this really fascinating thought to chew on. This whole idea started with neurosurgery, but just imagine the potential. What if the training manual for an airline pilot or an engineer or even a firefighter could also teach not just the procedure, but the experience? What could we all learn then?